I want that backdrop, Joel.
Yeah, right?
I do. How do I get that? I don't know how they do that.
I'll send you the image.
All right, will you?
Well, don't you have to know
Yeah, well-
people to get that?
Yeah. If you might, you should probably get familiar with a good IT guy.
Okay. Do we? Okay.
He can probably just let him remotely get onto your system.
Yep. And put it on.
Yeah, and
I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Would you please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
United States of
and
America,
to the republic,
and to the republic
Which
which
stands
stands
one nation,
nation under
under
God,
God,
with liberty
liberty and justice
for all.
for all.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the re-entry into school. Superintendent, did you want to start that?
Yes, I will. First, I want to say that, of course, many of you heard Gina Raimondo come on Monday. I need to clarify that East Providence is still using the plan that we submitted to you and that we sent out in our calendar just last week to everyone. I sent out another letter yesterday with the calendar attached to that. And principals also have sent out information to their parents. We are running both in-person and distance learning, and that is allowed. I think there is some confusion as to what the governor said when she was referring to full in-person return. We can also have a gradual entry, and we do over the course of the first week, as you saw in the latest calendar on the side. And principals have also communicated this to their parents. I will tell you, I emailed you this afternoon, the team to inspect schools, and I say that with, like parentheses around it, is coming tomorrow. There are 3 teams coming. Each team will do 4 schools. We are meeting at 8:30 in the CTE auditorium to discuss with them our plans. And then they want a facilities person only and the building level principal at the building when they go through the building. It is not, and I got you, it is looking at our quarantine rooms, it's looking at our clinics, it's asking questions about ventilation and so forth. So that's what they'll be doing tomorrow. Also, I'm happy to announce, I don't know if you saw it today, but we are going to have one of those mobile testing sites right in East Providence. So any student that is suspected of having COVID-19 symptoms, when we call the parents, they can take them immediately up to the site. I don't know where it's going to be at this point in time, but it'll be in East Providence, and we will be able to get immediate results for the site. So those are some good things that are in progress. Now I'm going to let Sandy, who put together very quickly a slide presentation, because of the information that went out from the governor was not really clear. So Sandy's going to put something and show it to you now. Sandy?
Yep, I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a second, please.
Yep.
Oh, Ben, can you give me permission?
Yep, just a moment.
Thank you. trouble too. Whoops, sorry. Gotta go back to the beginning. Can everyone see that? Okay. So we just put this together quickly this afternoon, just to go over some of the information that people have been asking us about. So as the superintendent just said, distance learning will take place. We have 2,222 students that have chosen that distance learning option, and we have been able to accommodate all those students. So all students who requested distance learning through the online form have been granted distance learning. Most should have gotten an email. We are finding that a lot of them went into people's spam boxes, so they've been asking us, but anyone that had put in for distance learning prior to today, when we closed the form, has been granted distance learning. We've been asked repeatedly also what distance learning will look like. So at the middle and high school, they're going to follow a set schedule. So at the high school, there are 7 periods, and at the middle school, there are 6 periods. So students must log into each class every day. So at the high school, they're using more of a block schedule. So there'll be 4 classes each day. And at the middle school, there'll be 6 classes each day. So the expectation will be that students log into that class, and there will be a teacher that will be face-to-face with them during that class period. Maybe not for the whole period. They may do some instruction at the beginning. There may be breakout rooms. They may have an assignment, but they will be expected to log in, and the teacher will take attendance and expect that student to stay on for that period as long as the teacher is teaching. So again, it will occur face-to-face with an East Providence School Department teacher. So we've been asked about that if we were contracting out. The high school will follow, they would have the teachers that they would have as if they were in-person learning. So teachers will be doing both a combination of in-person and at-home instruction. So they would have the same schedule. So once we open up Skyward, when all the scheduling is done, students will be able to see the periods and the teachers that they have for each class. At the middle school, it will be the same, except that it will be 6 periods in a day. Students will log on the same way. Attendance will be taken. All of our attendance policies will be the same for at-home students as it is for students that are in school in person. So the expectation is that you attend school every day, Monday through Friday, whether you're in person or whether you're at home. Schedules for all middle and high school students are in Skyward. Again, we'll be opening it up soon. And then teachers are going to, so if you're on distance learning, teachers will be reaching out to the students that are on distance learning the week of the 14th with class information. So any students that are coming in are being rolled in gradually the week of the 14th. If you're at home, the expectation, so if we're bringing in 9th grade on Monday, those teachers will be concentrating that teach 9th grade with those 9th graders on the Monday, and they'll be reaching out to the students that are at home, providing information that week, but you may not be required to log on Monday. So you should just look for that information. And that will come from each individual teachers, and that'll outline class expectation, the times that your class meets, and all that other important information that people have been asking about. So distance learning, elementary students will also follow a schedule, but it's going to be communicated by the teacher. It is not the same as a middle and high school schedule. So each individual classroom teacher will tell you what time your child should be logged in for ELA and math and science and phys ed or art or whatever subjects that your child is taking. They will communicate that time schedule. And again, it will be Monday through Friday, and it will be set in-person instruction. Again, teachers will be reaching out the week of the 14th for an orientation with those students that are at home. We really need you to make sure that if you don't have a current email on file with the school, that you make sure that you do, because All of our communication has been going out by email, and we do know some parents are missing out on communication. They've called and they have either don't have an email address on file with, or it's not valid. So if you could please check your Skyward account and contact your school if you need to update that information. And information being sent out by principals on a regular basis. So it's, like I said, it's very important that we have a correct email address so you have up-to-date information. So in-person learning, if you did not select distance learning, then your child has been assigned to in-person learning. So for in-person learning, we're going to bring the students in gradually so that we can do an orientation for each grade level for a full day. So this information went out today in an email and a Sky alert to parents. It's also been communicated by principals. And I believe it's on the school calendar, which the superintendent sent out yesterday. So on September 14th, you can see we have grades 1, 6, and 9 would come in person. Those are the only grades that should report in person if your child has opted for in-person learning or you've opted for in-person learning. On the 15th, we have grades 2, 4, 7, and 11 that will report. On the 16th, grades 3 and 5 will come in person. On the 17th, grades K, all of our special populations, grade 8 and grade 10 will report in person. On September 18th, we'll have grades K through 5, 6, 8, and 12 report in person. September 21st will really start our regular schedule. So anyone who has selected in-person learning will report based on the schedule. There were some questions what that meant when we said based on the schedule. I'll talk about that on the next slide. Pre-K will start reporting on September 14th, and those principals have communicated orientation information with the parents already. So they're a little bit different than the way we're rolling it in, but they are being brought in on the 14th. So the in-person learning schedule. So if you did not select distance learning for your child would be signed up for in-person learning. In elementary schools and pre-K, that means that they would attend Monday through Friday. All students would be in school that selected in-person learning or did not select distance learning, and they would attend school from 9:15 to 3 o'clock. At the middle school, Monday and Tuesday, all grade 6, grade 7, and our special populations will attend. On Wednesday, all grades would be distance learning. On Thursday and Friday, we'll have all grade 6, grade 8, and our special populations. School hours for middle school would be 7:45 to 1:30. For high school, in-person learning, again, if you didn't select distance learning, then your child would be signed up to attend in person. Mondays and Tuesdays will be grades 9 and 11 and our special populations. Wednesday, all grades will be distance learning. On Thursday and Friday, grades 10 and 12 and special populations will come in, and the school hours will be from 7:25 to 12:30. Transportation, so we did not change the mileage, so the mileage distance remain the same for all bus routes. The schedules will be posted online on Tuesday, and this is just a sample of what the bus seating will look like. So students would be assigned to sit where the numbers aren't. So they would be staggered throughout the bus, one to a seat unless there's siblings. And so we saw a sample of the bus yesterday. We also this morning walked through all of the buildings with the principals from all the schools and the directors. And we went through the buildings and provided each principal with feedback on their procedures. So we did that this afternoon. So.
Oh, and by the way, please go by Kent Heights tomorrow. There is going to be a bus parked out there for the students to see. And it might even have a mask on it.
So
we're moving it around to different schools.
Hopefully that clarifies a little bit for our families, what distance learning will look like, what the schedule will be starting on September 14th when students return to school, or if they chose distance learning, how that'll be rolled in, and information will continuously be updated and coming from principals.
Excuse me, Sandy, could you put that slide presentation on the website?
Yes.
That was actually quite good. It was very succinct and clear. If you don't mind, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
Charlie, I have a question for Kathy.
Go ahead.
Kathy, the question, when they walk through the schools tomorrow with that team, can you get us a list of what they're going to be looking for? Or do we have that list?
I thought I sent it out, but maybe I didn't. Yes, I'll send it out to you. It's pretty general, Tony, but I will forward it. I have it right here, so I'll forward it out, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
Yeah, if there are 14, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Kathy.
If there are 4 teams, how's Tony gonna be with all 4?
It's 3 teams, 4 schools. We're gonna have,
Oh,
yeah, and Mark, yeah,
oh, so he'll be with 1 and then 2 others?
yes.
Okay.
It isn't long,
Well, and Tony has a walkie-talkie if somebody has a question, right?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
If there are no other questions,
I have a question. I'm sorry, I got my internet died, so I switched over. On Sandy's presentation, and maybe somebody asked, so I'll apologize. The Wednesdays for the secondary that are distance learning. So do we also not have any teachers in the building? And if so, then is it distance learning by assignment, or is there any live lectures going on Wednesdays? Or is it just Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday?
No, so teachers will not be in the building because that's the day that we need to sanitize the buildings between cohorts. So
Right.
teachers will be teaching from home. So there will be live teaching going on. I can't say every Wednesday. The high school has the high school's like a hybrid schedule. So on Wednesdays they're meeting with actually, I think their periods are shortened a little bit on Wednesdays, so there definitely will be, they might structure it as a check-in, they might structure it as in office hours, there might be live instruction. The expectation will still be that students log in
Okay.
during that time.
Okay, thank you. And just again, I apologize if this was hit. I know you mentioned parents, it's important that they provide updated emails. Have we identified any families that never had email with us, and have we sent out some? I know when I was in the office yesterday, I saw Diana stuffing envelopes, so I know that we do have some mail that's going on. Are we sending out standard old school mail to those families?
So I don't know that we've sent out letters. I know principals have made definitely done a lot of outreach to get accurate emails, especially starting last spring. But I don't think that we've been sending the plans home or anything. We've been trying to post everything on our website, so parents, if they didn't get an email, they could log in. We also made sure we did a Sky Alert today so that parents got a phone call with all of this information, and we sent out an email additionally.
All right, I'm just putting it out there that if I'm assuming that we'll have some of our registered families that don't have any email address at all, and I would suggest that at least a phone call, because we may have some families that just don't have internet. I know, in the spring we had issued air cards and so forth to get over that, but just in this initial stage, if a phone call or something is being made. Because if there was never an email attached to that contact, then I don't want to assume that they have access to internet. So just a thought.
Yeah, we have been doing some of the sky alerts with when we have messages about the presentations and things like that. And I know the elementary principals use different platforms also. They use Dojo to communicate with their families. You know, we've also been posting it on Facebook sites. So
Right.
we'll continue to make phone calls like we did today with anything that like this that's updating families about the plan.
All right, thank you.
I would ask if anybody is watching this that is not getting the information, that they reach out to the school department too,
Please.
or to any one of us that's on here via Facebook or any other way. Reach out to us so that we can get your information.
Thank you.
Yeah, if they just call the school secretary and they can add an email address or if they have one, that would be great.
Tony Fiola, the custodians will be in the schools every Wednesday for cleaning.
That is correct.
Okay, and I anticipate that there wouldn't be many other people in the building at the time.
In the middle school will just be in the high school will just be the office area. So that will be done after they leave, but we'll be working in the houses at Monton and in the classrooms at the high school and the classrooms at Riverside on Wednesdays.
And what about the elementaries, Tony?
The elementaries will be done at night during the week, but we're doing special cleaning at those 3 levels because the cohort changes the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday combination. So we need to do the buildings for the new arrival of the other grades.
So the elementaries will be done every night, I imagine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Charlie, I just have a question, and Tony, so the elementary schools aren't going to get done on Wednesdays, but they'll be home?
No, they're in school on Wednesdays.
Right, so that, yeah, because we went over that. So Monday through Friday, the elementary schools, they'll be all in there Monday through Friday because we're doing that really deep cleaning, say, every night that
Yes.
we do there.
Yeah.
Okay, just so we can get that up, because that was the question Tony
Because
asked.
remember, those students are in every day, and in high school and middle schools, students change on the midweek. So one set comes in Monday, Tuesday, one set comes in Thursday, Friday, and we do the cleaning. We also do some at night, but we do an extra cleaning on Wednesdays.
Thank you.
And Superintendent, did you mention something about the meals for the children?
Right, we were notified and they're waiting for us to get more clarification on it. But it seems that they're going to allow meals for all students, similar to what they did in the spring. So that it's not just free and reduced lunches, it'll be taken care of by the federal government. So we're just waiting for confirmation to send that out officially to everyone. And then we'll set up a system for the pickup for any families that want meals, which is a good thing.
Yes, it is.
Yes, a very good thing.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next, the next item on the agenda is the need for a boiler at Hennessy School. Tony Fiola, do you want to start with that?
Sure. I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes, we need to replace one of the 2 boilers at Hennessy. We went out to the state bid list and put together the 3 companies that came in, and currently you have the low bidder. I have sat down with Mr. Ferrer and had him review the 3 proposals, and we feel that the low bidder, Fleet Plumbing, came in off the state bid list, and everything on there. There not only was the low bid, but they right in their proposal said from soup to nuts. So they're going to demo, they're going to replace, so that it's completely up and running. We've been told that they expect arrival, if approved tonight, within about 2 weeks.
So it would be, the job would be finished when, Tony?
Well, they've got to demo it and put it in, but they expect the boiler to be into them within 2 weeks. So it'll be a short time after that. That boiler, not like some of our schools, it does not deal with hot water. It only deals with heat. So we won't need that till the heating season. So it's not like some of our boilers, we have to make hot water. We have a hot water tank, and actually we have a new hot water tank going in as soon as that's demoed. We're replacing an old one that's there, and we already have that at one of our other schools on site.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next item, and that is the movement of portable stands at the CTC. The school committee received a communication asking for the availability of these stands. Superintendent Crowley, do you have anything you want to offer on this?
Yes, they talked to Greg Amori, and he said they absolutely could use the stands, correct, Mr. Fiola? There was no problem.
No, it's no problem. They're located back there. Those are the bleachers that were located on the high school property that we removed and had Gilbane store for us behind the CTC.
And that would be temporary, Tony? It'll come back to the high school, or no?
No, there's no need. There's new designs going in the areas that we have. So these would just be extra that we could use out in the district, and we don't have any fields with that. So if the city could use them, and the city's
Tony,
yes, Joe.
just to clarify, I want to recheck the plans on those front fields for,
Take a look.
but because for right now, to my understanding, this request was to basically use them while they were sitting dormant. So I know I had responded to Mr. Duvall, and he had engaged that he would get Tony Guerrero involved in, because it wasn't a change of possession, really didn't require any action from our part right now. It's just temporary use. I don't think we've determined, what those front fields are gonna have. So
I'm gonna look that up right now.
Excuse me, who's gonna be moving the bleachers or installing them? And would that be city workers or school department people?
That would be city.
City, okay.
yeah,
And right now,
that's
it's behind the high school?
I'm sorry, Karen, I couldn't hear you.
Right now, they're stored behind the high school?
Behind
Behind
the
the
Career and
CTC.
Technical Center.
Okay.
Yeah, that was so my suggestion to Mr. Duvall, once Mr. Amori said that, confirmed obviously that we didn't have a need for him, which was not a surprise, was that he worked with the city side to get a responsible individual to submit a letter to the school department accepting responsibility for those bleachers. That way the condition that they're in would be protected, the school department would be protected, and that they would be responsible for the movement. So there would basically be no financial risk or labor cost. I mean, obviously our guys are busy now, but that was the suggestion, to which he told me that he was going to engage with Tony Vieira at Pierce Field to get the right people involved to do just that and work with the superintendent.
Any other discussion on this?
Charlie, back to where Joel said, are we gonna let them borrow them? So at least if we can delay this for a week, if Joel needs to research, if we need them, Joel there, or are we gonna give them up completely? Because Joel, I looked at that as they were gonna borrow them because at the
Yes.
initial, we were gonna be put, that's why I believe they were put behind the career
Yes.
center, because we were gonna use them at the new high school. And I was under the impression reading that we were gonna let them borrow them, say, for like 2 years.
Correct.
Do you want to just go forward with that or give you a little time to research, Joel, if we would need them?
Well-
Or could we just lend them for 2 years? And if we do need them at that point, we could get them back.
Well, that,
Can we-
yeah,
Yeah,
Go ahead,
can
I'm
we
sorry,
just,
Jess.
yeah, can we just lend them like they're asking right now because of COVID? That's why they need them, because of
Right.
COVID, because they need a social distance.
Exactly.
Right.
So I agree with you, Tony. I think we should
Yeah.
just, they need them right now. Let's allow them to use them right now. And then when they're done using them, hey, I'm sure
Yeah.
we got other fields that probably could use them, even if we don't use them. And we're going to use them for our kids anyway. They're going to go to
Yeah.
our kids. So let's just, right now, let's give it to them. We're not using them. They need them. Let's pass them on.
right, yeah, yeah, the
Let's not hold up
request,
the,
yeah, the request and the understanding was that it was to be borrowed, and if if we find down the road that we have other plans and don't need them, then we can, if we want to take, in my opinion, we want to take, any action to officially hand the property over, then we can do that down the road. But the request is to borrow, which, since it's no cost and no risk to us, that's why, I'd said I didn't think that it actually required a vote. To me, it's kind of like, when we're down a truck and the city lets our guys use a truck, city council doesn't take a vote. So this is kind of the same thing. We're borrowing, and as long as they acknowledge that they're responsible for that in writing, then, God forbid if something happens to them and they're damaged, then, the city would be responsible to us. But otherwise, we would just take them back when we were ready to use them.
Any other discussion on this item? Then let's move to the action items. To consider and vote to approve to award the boiler replacement at Hennessy School. What's the committee's pleasure?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll
Motion
second
made
that.
and seconded. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And item 2 is consider and vote to approve movement of portable stands at CTC to support youths in the city. And that could be, it could be changed to say loan the portable stands at the CTC.
So I guess, Charlie, my question is, just as a matter of concern for consistent process, does this require a vote? Because if so, are we kind of setting a precedence at any time the city lets us borrow something that we're going to require a vote from the council, or vice versa if anything else is borrowed, or if there's any kind of work between the two operations? My concern is adding bureaucracy to something that maybe, if we're covered with the letter, which I think has been addressed, to take on responsibility, and I'll look to the school committee's decision on that. But I'm hesitant to set precedents on things like this, because, like somebody said, to slow down if there's ever a need. I don't want it to be the standard procedure that we have to take a vote for the two institutions to work together.
Well, Joel, I appreciate that statement. I think the way I see it is that if we want to get these back, then I think we need to be the initiators of the action. So I think, and it seems to be that possibly we may want to get these back. So I think it doesn't hinder things to put ourselves on record, but I'll leave that to the committee also. What's the committee's pleasure on this?
Charlie, I would prefer, just me speaking as one vote, just to send them a letter, because I agree, we've been working hand in hand with the city, I believe, very, very well. And I would only want to see a letter stating they're going to receive it, move them, any damage they're responsible. They may have them up to 2 years, but I would agree that we use equipment, they use equipment, and I just think a letter stating they belong to the East Providence School Department, we're lending you them for 2 years. When you return them, they have to be in the same condition. And I would be fine with that, because if not, if we offend anybody, we would have to get a letter every time if we needed a piece of equipment to plow snow from them. So
Right.
rather than go back and forth, I think a letter would be absolutely fine. If it was only a certain short distance, I wouldn't even want to see a letter. But over 2 years, we don't want memory lapse. And if we do want them back, we have that letter to fall back on. So I'm comfortable with just a letter, Charlie, to be honest with you.
Okay, Tony. And Superintendent, you can produce that, have that produced. Thank
All
you.
right. Yep. Sharon, we'll do it tomorrow.
Okay.
And just, hey, Superintendent Crowley,
Yes.
just have, or Sharon's listening too, but, I would say, don't put a date on the end, right? Obviously, it'll be when the new school fields are, when we're ready to receive them. I mean, we anticipate it'll be about 1.5 to 2 years, right? But I don't want to say 2 years and then look like a, like a crook if we take it back in 18 months. But yeah, as long as the letter, I mean, that establishes what we need. Just be clear, Sharon, on that it basically says, to be returned in the same condition.
All right, so there's no motion on item number 2.
I mean, we do have to expect a little wear and tear. These are high
Yeah,
school kids using it.
yeah.
I mean, come on, guys, let's be
I'm
honest.
not
There
worried.
are kids.
I
There
expect
are
it to come
students.
back with some gum underneath,
Okay, thank
So-
you. Let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
Are there any public comments?
Yes, there are public comments. Just give me a moment to share them out. Sharon, can you read that?
Yes, all set. Thank you, Ben. The first one's from Wendy Anstill, parent, grandparent of a student. Dear committee members, despite Governor Raimondo's green lighting the return of full in-person school, I am imploring you to be cautious with your plans to reopen East Providence's schools. The governor openly admitted that she expects that children will test positive and people who work in the schools will test positive. This situation can be avoided entirely with distance learning. We know that this virus can kill and maim, that it can leave long-lasting physical harm, and yet this risk is somehow acceptable. These are our kids, our families, and our beloved teachers whose health will be risked in order to return us to a level of normalcy that does not and will not exist. There is no treatment for COVID-19. There is no vaccine. People who end up on a ventilator have a low chance of survival. Hospital bills will cripple families, and yet these are acceptable risks for giving our children an education, which can, in my opinion, be provided very effectively through distance learning for the majority of our students. One of the benchmarks for reopening depends on facility readiness before students can return to classrooms. Instead of adhering to a strict set of criteria, we have been told to just do our best. A reminder to those who think this is okay. This is what medical professionals were forced to contend with in the spring, where they lacked the necessary PPE to protect themselves and their patients, and we saw doctors, nurses, and other caretakers die. If we cannot adhere to consistent distancing of 6 feet in schools, even though we now know that this number is not 100% adequate and even less effective in an enclosed space, if we cannot guarantee that the air exchange rate in our schools is high enough to clear them quickly of airborne pathogens, then we should not be returning to in-school learning. Please consider starting the school year with full distance learning to ensure our schools meet safety guidelines before opening. Thank you. The next one is from Sandra Vieira, parent, grandparent of a student. Why was the start time for elementary schools changed to 9:15 a.m. from 8:35 a.m.? Middle and high schools were not changed. This places added stress for parents that work. Thank you. Next comment is from Michaela Evans, parent, grandparent of a student. I believe the idea of starting school fully in person is very irresponsible, but I have little faith that we will start any other way. That being said, I would like to say that suspension needs to be a consequence for not wearing masks in school. There needs to be a letter sent out to all parents, maybe even have them sign it, stating the rules of mask wearing and how to correctly wear them and what will happen if they don't. This should be considered everyone's first warning. If there aren't serious consequences, there will be even more kids that disobey. The guidelines are already a joke. For example, the amount of times when possible is used in the plans, so please at least strictly enforce mask wearing. The next one is from Holly Farias, parent, grandparent of a student. I watched last week's meeting, and while I agree that how to raise a child is up to the parent, we are dealing with a pandemic. This decision affects everyone in the community. There are many people in our community who believe that this virus is no big deal, and that makes throwing their kids into school with others that are actually following rules very dangerous. This is not choosing what your children eat or what time they go to bed. This is a pandemic that affects the community, and it should not be an individual family decision. Another thing I would like to bring attention to is school buses. Putting groups of kids on buses is just one of the many ways that makes these pods completely useless and not as safe as parents are being told. Not to mention, how in the world are we going to allow windows to be open when it's raining or when temps drop below freezing? To me, making a child ride on a bus with windows open when it's 20 degrees and raining is abuse. Pawtucket is sending back just pre-K, kindergarten, and special populations. To me, this isn't ideal, but it's better than nothing. So if you are completely against voting to begin the year distance learning, please at least consider this. Maybe it could be just until flu season gets underway and we see just how the flu affects COVID, because right now we don't know how bad that will be. You are our last hope of protecting the students, teachers, and the entire East Providence community. The governor made her recommendation yesterday, which I, like many, believe was made because of money. So we are relying on you to think about it without bringing money into the decision. It's really sick that we are letting money and fear of losing money put the lives of children and the whole city at risk.
And that's it for public comment.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay, are there any announcements?
Charlie, I just have a couple comments on that. If Kathy can, I know the governor hit on the positivity rate, which her numbers are excellent. I guess according to her, the pandemic's almost gone. But could we get what the positivity rate in East Providence is, like on a weekly basis? If there's so much testing going on, because that's still the driving factor on where we stand. I think that we would put the community at a much more comfortable place if we knew each week where we stand, because right now she's saying that she's got 50,000 tests, she's got 1,500 rapid within minutes to hours. If all of that is being done, which is great, the question is, could we get her, or anyway, the City of East Providence School Department could get our positivity rate, like say every Monday, get all the data on a Friday, analyze it over the weekend?
They put it up every week for all the cities in town on the website.
Okay.
They do. So I find out when it goes up. Sandy, do you know when it actually goes up? When it changes the week? Is it
I
like?
don't.
All right. We'll find out.
I don't know if it goes out on Friday or.
And we'll send it, Tony.
I actually think it's on Wednesday.
You think it's Wednesday they update?
I do think so. Yeah, it's right on, it's on
Yes,
the Department of Health's
Wednesday.
web.
She's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's Wednesdays. Yeah.
Okay, Wednesdays.
Yeah, because that's, I think, Kathy, that'd be good, because like when she, and I understand as the governor for the whole state, but I don't want to say this, but we're focused more on East Providence, our kids and our staff. So to put it at ease, if we know where, because like I said, I believe as time goes along, if we still wear the masks and go for, we're on the track of getting better. But I think to put everybody at ease going forwards, by letting that information flow smoothly will be good. And a question for Jess or Karen.
So we'll have Sharon send that out to all of you and then send it out on our listserv to parents. How's that?
Excellent, excellent.
Okay, Sharon?
Yes.
Perfect.
And Jess, did you just come up with what day you might want to meet for you guys to discuss the policy for, the mask wearing, like we just heard, that's a number one issue, especially with the kids getting on the bus. Is it going to be two different policies? One, if they don't wear it on the bus, and is it going to be a policy for them in school?
So I met with the bus company yesterday. Joel and I went and we were there with Diana, and I don't think there is you wear it on the bus. So the bus company, you wear it on the bus. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So they have extra masks for the bus. There's going to be a video produced and put on our website for anybody who wants to watch it. So if they have any questions or concerns about how to be sitting on the bus or how to sit on the bus, or any questions concerning how to ride the bus, that will be on our website, next week prior to school opening. I just got back from vacation and I thank Karen for waiting for me. So anytime we're ready, Karen, we can meet and we will come up with a policy. Obviously, we're going to have to come up, in my opinion, something different for elementary versus high school. I don't think we can treat it the same.
I agree.
And just so the bus, if they don't wear a mask on a bus, they would be removed from the bus?
I would assume
Out on the bus, number one,
they will
or
not,
they're given a mask to wear.
they will be given a mask.
Yeah.
But I agree. I with Tony. I think there should be, the bus should also be in the policy. The bus company may say the kids are going to wear them, but we have to have a consequence for kids who are being defiant. And with my experience, I know we have some children, for no reason whatsoever, like to spread their wings and say no. So we do have to, in my opinion, there has to be something in the policy about refusal on a bus.
Well, we mentioned about them doing the bus misconducts immediately. Some
Yeah.
drivers, like to give people a chance. We can't with this. So we talked to them, Diana, briefly. I think I mentioned it to, what's his name there, that they need to send that bus misconduct goes right into the principal. So just remember that when you're doing the policy for consequences for that. Okay?
Jessica, could we invite Diana to meet with Cheryl and you and I?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Diana, would you mind meeting with us? Thank you.
And I also agree with what that parent said, and I agree that education is key. And if you teach the parents and you teach the children why they're wearing a mask and the need to wear one and why they're wearing it in school, I think children will understand. And I think education, and I think sending a flyer home and the appropriateness on how to wear one will be key, and how you should be wearing one and the need for one and how to put it on and how to take it off is also key.
So
And
I
how
have a question for all on this with regards to the buses I have is, we have some students that may be opting for in-person, and we've kind of talked about it in the plans, right? That may have a medical note saying that they can't wear a mask. I don't mean to peel back the onion more, but let's take that into consideration on the bus, and whether or not we need to consult legal again. I mean, I think there are in these times, these are definitely unique times with this health issue and all the precautions, and each student on that bus has a right to get to school safely and return home safely, and with respect to any children that might have some legitimate issues that are documented, we might need to find a way or have a plan to address that, or maybe that's something where mom, dad, grandma, whatever needs to do the transporting, which I would think that they would want to anyway.
I agree.
But just kind of putting that, I'm just trying to get ahead of something that
Yeah.
will likely pop up. And if we're strict about requiring that medical, I just want to make sure that that is communicated too. There are some legitimate health concerns, but we want to make sure that we're validating all those.
So
Joe,
we did
and-
speak
and-
with the principals. I'm sorry, we did speak with the principals today. We do not have any medical notes for masks yet. We did say that if any come in, that we would have our school doctor review them.
Excellent. Thank you.
And Joe, I agree with that, because I think as what, as the first day of school starts, the whole team is going to have so much on their minds, education wise and naturally safety. But right, if we can get in front of some of these, I hope they're minor issues that don't pop up, but at least if they pop up, we know right where to go with it. So it's not prolonged, day after day, and we're focusing off, the education and other major safety issues in the building. And that's, like I said, what this parent just said, that from what I'm hearing, people are looking at the buses as the number one driver that breaks up the pods. Well, if we can ensure them that the buses are as safe as possible, but we're going to make sure it stays that way, that's the information that I would like to, get out and, like you said, Joel, get in front of it a little bit. Would be better off rather than wait, the first day of school and we see bus loads of kids coming in, with 10 masks not on the bus. They're going to go home, tell them, and then we're just going to, I think, get really into a hornet's nest at that point. So by putting a policy, with the bus company involved, that we can do that on our own with Jess and Karen, roll that into the mask policy, send that letter home and say, actually, riding the bus is a privilege. We can't let you get on the bus with your son or daughter. With a medical excuse, absolutely. But just to say, I don't want to, in an environment like that, Joel, I think would be setting up the wrong precedent for us without having a policy. Because like Karen said, we just may have that student that says, I'm just not going to do it. That's
Right.
where I think we want to kind of get in front of issues like that there.
Can I
Right.
just
Tony,
clarify too, that the governor did stress that masks are required, and that is our stance, that masks are required. All of the school principals know that. All of the school principals are going to enforce that. So the only way a student would not face a consequence or maybe sent to distance learning if they couldn't comply with the mask requirement would be if they had a medical excuse. I think our principals feel really confident in their ability to handle the situation. We have had this discussion. If there's a policy, they'll follow that policy. But I just want to be clear that we know that masks are required. We have communicated that. The original plan, not requiring them. So that was our original plan, but since then, everything we've communicated has said that masks are required. So, principals know that that needs to be enforced, and it can't just be, I want to take off my mask, so I do.
So Sandy, I've done quite a lot of research on this policy, and I've come to realize that many school committees / school boards, this has been one of the most controversial / very hard policies to come up with over their last many years of policies to implement. Yep. And with our mayor, with our governor, she has implemented it. She's put it in the state of Rhode Island. Other states like Florida, Georgia, other states don't have it. So it's more difficult for school boards and school committees to implement because they don't have that ability to say, okay, right, our governor has it. So we have it, but we only have it for a specific time right now. Mm-hmm. Our governor has only said up until, phase whatever, we're going to have our masks. So are we able to put a policy into place or put up until, I don't know. Do we put this policy in place all year, not knowing what the circumstances are? Do we put a policy in place up until January 25th and then extend it afterwards? Do we put a policy in place up until whenever? I'm just asking this question because right now that's what the governor's done. She's extended it every month. She's extended it.
Our understanding would be that it would be for the school year, that the governor has declared that masks are required unless something changes. We are requiring them unless she comes out and says that they're no longer required. And then we would have difficulty enforcing that. But I don't know why that would happen.
I would like to get a feel.
Okay.
I'd like to get a feel for some of the other committee members before we meet Jessica, because
Okay.
time is
Right.
not on our side. But Tony, one of the things that you had said, and I don't know where to go with this. I've also done a lot of, I'm following the science quite a bit. And now they're saying, well, they've been saying for a while, that it's not necessarily hard surface items, although we have all the cleaning products and whatnot, that very few cases are passed from touching. It's more person to person and breathing. So the mask wearing is essential. And the person wearing the mask is not protecting themselves, they're protecting the others. So even if a child has a medical condition that prohibits them from wearing a mask, I don't think that child should ride the bus, because you're endangering the entire bus. I understand it's not their fault, but Joel had said earlier, perhaps in this situation, if a parent or a grandparent cannot, can the school department, I don't know, arrange for other transportation? But that child becomes a danger to the other students.
I think that's a legal question. You might get into some pretty difficult situations, Karen. So let us ask our attorney that.
Please.
Yeah, okay. we
Which-
will do that.
Yeah, please.
And,
Can you
you know, for-
ban
Plus-
someone for not
plus-
without
Fortunately, right
wearing?
now,
Yeah.
it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
Plus, remember, we make policy. We don't determine the punishment. That would be up to individual principals.
Well, I
And
don't think it's a punishment. I think it is a policy that if you cannot wear a mask, you cannot ride a
right, but
bus with other students. And
right, but what we've
Careful.
said before is if we make a policy that states that you are to wear a mask, while in school, and if you don't, the punishment would be
No, I don't think you can make a general punishment. I think you're going to make a policy.
what I just said.
Is that
Right.
students
Correct.
You're right, Jessica. All students
Yeah.
will be required to wear masks. It is a policy from the governor. I think it's an executive order, actually, and it'll be a policy of the East Providence School Committee. And then the
So
principals.
That's
will
our
do
policy right there.
Right.
And
Our
I,
policy,
and,
we are following the governor's order. The
exactly.
consequence
But-
will be determined based on the principal.
yeah,
Correct.
right. But it has to be, I think, in that policy that at every building level, the situation will be handled individually as
And I'll get
appropriate.
the legality of the other for you, Karen, okay?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And even within the classroom, if
I'll
a
ask.
child can't, can you isolate them? Can you put them in the
Oh, no, I
back
don't-
of the room? What do you do with them? I mean, is it fair to the kids sitting next to them? I don't think so.
So
I
we'll make
don't-
sure, we'll
Yeah,
make sure that the distance is, more than appropriate.
Yeah.
We also have face shields, while it's not
Yes,
a
yeah.
substitute for a mask, they may be able to wear a face shield.
sure, yeah, yeah,
So we would offer that also, and maybe check with our doctor and their doctor to see
yeah.
if there's a medical reason why they can't wear a mask, if a face shield might be okay. But we will try to increase the distance around that student also. We have all our desks separated by 6 feet in the
I
class.
saw that. I saw
The
that. That's
CDC
awesome.
Hey, it's 6 feet or a face mask. I mean, they've been pretty clear about that. I mean, they have been very clear that it's so, I mean, I am a proponent of face shields. I know I've said that before. They do work. And I still stand behind them. If you have the correct ones and the right ones, they do work. I know, the governor and the Department of Health has not said it here in Rhode Island, but other places have said it. So I do think we need to look into that for the students who cannot wear one. But once you guys have already said that's not a problem here right now.
No,
Yeah.
we have enough for every student in the district right now.
Yeah, and that's the key, is that we don't have any students right now that are stating that. I do on the buses, the last thing I want to touch on, only because it was in that comment, and I understand the parents' concern about the delayed starts for the later schools, but I think it's important to note that, that delay is because of the cleaning that's going on with the buses in between each grade level. So it's, without that, without that delayed start as it goes down, the bus company wouldn't have the time they need to thoroughly clean the buses in between runs. So,
Right.
you know, it's not ideal. Again, I want to say the district has done everything it could to and continues to open these doors for so many students that really need to be in the building. But we've got to do it safely, and clean transportation is one of those pieces. So just want to, again, it was mentioned, and I think it's worth noting that was the reason for that, in case it's not understood. It was simply for the transportation piece to be cleaned and sterilized.
And the middle and high school do have the time on the other end. Their day has been shortened, so we have space in between the afternoon runs.
Yeah.
Could I just ask, Jessica, Diana, and Cheryl, when the meeting's over, could you stay on for like 5 minutes so we can schedule a policy meeting for this week? Jessica, will that work for you? Okay, just a few minutes, and then Cheryl too, if she could stay on. Thank you.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll let Karen make
Second.
that.
Mr. Montero seconds.
Yes,
All
I'll
in favor,
second that.
please signify by saying aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
And I just got a couple of questions.
Are we meeting again next week?